Hey guys, and welcome to the second part of my two-part series reviewing DASAITA's new G13 Android head unit. Now in the previous episode, I went through the entire breakdown of the unboxing and installation in the notorious 2020 Toyota Corolla. Now if you haven't seen that one yet, I suggest checking it out before starting this video. So continuing on, I'll be going through my first impressions, initial settings, basic usage and features, as well as my final thoughts on the G13. So let's get into it, shall we? Guys, there's so much to show you, it's a crime to have to condense it all. So here I start removing the included screen protector, as I truly wanted to experience this unit as it was intended. The G13 has a sleek, elongated appeal, very reminiscent of a BMW type look. It offers so much screen area, yet it still has a look that's quite unassuming and natural as an integrated car display. Now if you compare this to other standard screens, the G13 almost makes them look comical. Its ultra-wide form factor blends quite unobtrusively following the horizontal lines of the car's design. It's actually quite interesting and refreshing at the same time. First off, the vividness of the QLED screen really makes an obvious impression. You'll definitely have to see this in person. The glass feels really polished and responsive to the touch. The manufacturing techniques of bonding layers and the powerful Qualcomm CPU really contributes to the smoothness of the interface. At this point, I remember just shuddering at the thought of my original factory head unit, which is just hideous in comparison. You guys are definitely in for a treat. By default, it comes with a lot of the standard baked-in apps, with extras pertaining to the car's configuration. As with many Android devices, you can customize your launcher by changing your background wallpaper, adding widgets, changing font sizes, and of course adding and removing any apps you'd like. In this video, I'll highlight a few apps that I know I'd use. And then there's the all-important notification bar, by swiping down from the top of the screen. Navigation is quite simple. This is very much like a specialized high-end Android tablet, only deeply integrated into your car. This familiarity really makes the learning curve quite easy for any mobile user. I wanted to go through my checklist to make sure everything I want functions correctly. Here I'm testing the sound through my speakers, as well as the car radio. Of course, I wanted to quickly test the video player. If you recall, we did connect some USB headers. It would be ideal to test out some video files off a USB stick as well. You'll also want to make sure that the external GPS module functions correctly. DASAITA's G13 does have its own diagnostic tools to display acquired satellites and geolocation details. This is super important if you plan on running location-based apps like ordering from Starbucks or using Google Maps. Now, an absolute necessity of mine is wireless Android Auto. You'll find that you really can't drive without it. I'd say 99% of the time I'll have it running while I drive. We'll open up the Z-Link app and pair the G13 with my Samsung Galaxy phone via Bluetooth. The default name is CarKit. The details can be found on the upper right-hand side of the screen. Wireless Android Auto does give me the opportunity to test a lot of the functions, such as Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, as well as other controls. As you can see here, the DASAITA G13 loads it up quickly and flawlessly, automatically playing my Google Music playlist. I gotta say, Android Auto looks made for the G13, maximizing the ultra-wide real estate of the screen. Nothing at all looks congested, which you'll find on many normal aspect displays. It just looks absolutely gorgeous here. You'll also want to test the control buttons on your steering wheel, such as the volume, your previous and next buttons, which I did find to be reversed. I'll show you later how to correct it. Also, your voice assist button, which can activate Google Assistant, giving you a total hands-free experience. Find Fortinos.
Is on the right.
To make calls in Android Auto, I discovered I'll need to first give it certain permissions in my Samsung Galaxy phone. You can do so by going to the Settings menu, Apps, tap Android Auto, Permissions, then under each item, make sure everything is set to Allow. Another necessity is having the reverse backup camera. The great thing about the G13 is that it can utilize your factory reverse camera, so you don't need to go out and install a new one if you don't want to. As you can see, it automatically switches when you shift to reverse gear. I also noticed that the G13 is linked to the climate control system, which provides a small overlay of the current settings, which is a nice touch. There's also an overlay of open car doors, thanks to DASAITA's CANBUS decoder successfully communicating with the Corolla's computer. The G13 is also equipped with an onboard gyroscope to show the pitch and roll position of the vehicle, in case I feel like taking the Corolla off-road, which is probably never, but I can imagine this is most useful for Jeeps and outdoor trucks. You can easily adjust the brightness of the screen. Also by default, the display will automatically switch between light and dark themes, depending on the status of the headlights, providing a comfortable view while driving. Of course, I didn't forget the iPhone users. The G13 easily supports wireless Apple CarPlay. It's a very similar process to Android Auto. You can connect via Bluetooth. I should mention both CarPlay and Android Auto launches automatically when you start the car by default. It actually connects quite fast in comparison to other Android units I've reviewed, which is quite surprising. The audio on DASAITA's G13 is nothing short of amazing, no doubt due to their upgraded sound processor. Now, I'm no audiophile, but I can definitely hear the difference in quality. As you can see, you can customize many parameters and environments. The spatial adjustments are pretty cool. I'm sure a lot of hardcore users will have a field day with all this. Now that I've gone through my immediate checklist, I want to dive deeper into the settings and change a few things to my own preference. One thing we should do is verify Android 13. Now, I'm pretty confident with DASAITA, but there are literally hundreds of fake modified Android 13 head units out there. One way we can check is to find the Android Easter egg. Every Android release has a unique one. In this case should be a clock, which if you spin the hands to 1, you can cycle through many cool wallpapers. DASAITA already pre-configured my unit with the correct CANBUS settings. If you find any issues interfacing with your car, we can change the settings by going to the factory menu. Type in 126 as the factory password. This allows us access to more advanced configurations. Select the CANBUS tab. Tap the CANBUS menu item to list a drop-down of available models. According to DASAITA's recommendation for the 2020 Toyota Corolla, this should be the correct CANBUS selection. While we're here, we can also fix the reversed next and previous control buttons on the steering wheel. Select Swap under the Swap key drop-down and hit Apply. You'll need to restart the unit when you exit the factory menu. If you find that the touchscreen isn't accurate enough to where you're tapping, you can perform a quick screen calibration. You'll need to navigate back into the factory menu. Tap the Key Study tab, then select the Touch Key Study panel. It'll ask you to touch the +1 and +2 buttons in the upper and lower corners of the screen. Then save and exit. The time does automatically set either from the GPS, Wi-Fi, or a LTE network, but I noticed the initial time zone was incorrect. We can change this by going to the Settings, System, Date and Time. Turn the Set Time Zone Automatically item to Off. Then select the time zone item. You can then re-enable the switch, and the date and time should immediately correct itself. By default, the G13 is in standby mode when the ignition is off. This allows for a quick power on when you start the car, which is pretty great. However, this does drain the battery, especially if you don't use your car often. I do a lot of modifications in my car, so I prefer the unit to be off. We can do this by going to Settings, Car, Extra Settings, tap Shutdown Delay, then select 30 seconds to be the shortest amount of time before shutting down. I also like to have the reverse steering tracks that projects your direction onto the backup camera. We can turn this on under the reverse trajectory display item in the same menu. By default, the G13 will turn the volume off when reversing for safety reasons. We can keep it on by switching the reversing volume to on or selecting a lower volume level. I also prefer to have the dark theme on all the time. We can force this by selecting the brightness mode, then switching from auto to dark. The G13 also features a car settings app that would allow you to change a lot of the car's factory parameters, much like those found in the settings or hidden menus on the original head unit. So I'd like to go through some of the apps and usage of the G13. But first of all, the most important thing you should have is connectivity while driving. Unless you plan on running offline apps and content, you'll want to be connected to the internet for updating real-time information, such as Google Maps, traffic reports, listening to music from web services such as Google Music, Spotify, everything that's in the cloud. Now, there's a few ways to achieve this. DASAITA's G13 natively supports a SIM card, so you can have dedicated voice and data in your car. One advantage is the absolute convenience, as well as operating tracking apps if you wish to do so. As you can see, the G13 supports a variety of mobile carriers. Now, if you are going to use a SIM card, to activate the voice calling features, make sure the SIM card voice call option is set to yes in the factory menu. When mobile hotspot is on, you're effectively creating portable Wi-Fi for people near or in your car to connect to. Unless you want to share your data, you can easily turn it off to save bandwidth. There's also the ability to disable data, but leave voice calling and messaging enabled, if you choose to manually control when you want to use your SIM's internet. I'd find this extremely useful if you have a cheap prepaid plan. Now, if you just want to connect to Wi-Fi in your driveway or somewhere like a Starbucks, you can easily activate your Wi-Fi antenna to search for nearby hotspots. The last way I recommend is turning your own phone into a Wi-Fi hotspot. This way, you can share your phone's internet data to the G13. You can also password protect this connection quite easily so that only the G13 can connect to it automatically. This method works best as you can use the same phone plan, as well as having a unit be connected to the internet anywhere you are. Once you're connected to the net, it's definitely important that you perform any necessary updates that are available. First would be any system level updates. DASAITA makes it easy to check within the settings. You can go to Settings, System, and there are 3 menu items you can click on for any pending updates on the G13. There's also internal apps, such as Z-Link, you may want to check as well to make sure that you're using the latest revisions. Now, I highly recommend signing into your Google Play Store so that you can immediately download and update all the apps pre-installed on the G13. This includes Google, YouTube, Chrome browser, and many more common apps. This initial update may take some time as well as bandwidth, so I recommend doing this over Wi-Fi. Tap the profile icon, My Apps and Games. Hit that Update All button and wait till everything completely installs. And while we wait, there's a lot of you who are watching who aren't subscribed to this channel. I do hope to earn your subscription someday, so if today's the day, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, as it really helps me create more content like this for you guys. We can go back and queue some of your favorite apps to download as well. Mine would have to be VLC Player. If you don't know, it's a very popular, free-to-use media player that really excels in performance on every Android device. It can play almost all video formats with ease, as well as support subtitling and other supplemental features. Of course, you can never run an Android Headunit without having Google Maps, which is basically a necessity. The G13 runs it flawlessly utilizing the GPS module, allowing you the full capabilities of the app literally at your fingertips. Again, DASAITA's G13 fundamentally runs Android OS, allowing the same functionality of any tablet or phone. And this includes browsing the internet. Google's Chrome browser is available for you to quickly Google something on the go, or visit any website whenever and wherever you need to. Remember to allow the browser to use location services to help you find relevant searches based on your current locality. I also did find that the font sizes were a bit bigger than I'd like. I was able to change this through the settings to be slightly smaller. Of course, the G13 running native Android OS allows you the full functionality to easily watch YouTube in your car. I noticed this feature is generally disabled when running Android Auto, no doubt for safety reasons. As such, always be safe and abide by your local laws when driving.
Hey guys, hope you're having an amazing day and welcome to another video.
Also, remember the G13 does feature an extra HDMI output, so that if you have a backseat screen, you can mirror everything to that to entertain your passengers. Now, I gotta highlight a feature that's absolutely perfect for DASAITA's G13, and that is split screen mode. With its powerful processor and ultra-wide screen, you can run 2 apps actively at the same time. I've been playing with this feature for a while now, and it's got to be made for the G13. I can easily interact with either app, having no space issues whatsoever. And surprisingly, both apps still perform smooth like butter. It's also possible to swipe out the app or the other depending on your immediate need. You can enter split screen mode by easily opening both apps you wish to be on screen. Swipe down the notification bar. Tap the Task Manager icon. Then tap the app icon for the app you wish to be on the left side panel. And then select the app you wish for the right. Super easy. You can then drag the middle split bar left or right if you want to full screen an app. It's a really cool feature that's quite practical in use on the G13. Like I mentioned earlier, the G13 easily interconnects to DASAITA's vast ecosystem of car accessories. One of which is my DASAITA 4K Dashcam, which can be connected wirelessly. We'll have to set the Dashcam to wireless LAN mode. Then on the G13, connect to its Wi-Fi signal using the password provided on the Dashcam screen. As you can see, you can easily stream the video feed wirelessly to the G13. Not only that, you can browse through all the 4K camera footage on demand, as well as save selected clips for storage. So guys, there's lots more to digest, but hopefully I've captured how much functionality DASAITA's G13 brings to the driving experience. Once you're set up with a flow, it's very intuitive to use. Again, if you're a basic driver like me, 99% of the time, I'm just starting my car, waiting for Android Auto to load up automatically. So there's not much I need to do aside from selecting my destination and my music. But the potential of doing so much more with the G13 is so much greater, as again, it's basically a fully functional tablet with all the perks outlined here that come with it. Now I feel there can be some improvements. One is a lack of physical panel buttons, such as a home or a direct mute button, as I find myself trying to quickly navigate back or sometimes struggle to swipe down the notification bar while driving. Another thing to improve would be customizable brightness controls. I like to have the dark theme on all day, so if it's nighttime, I would like to have the screen brightness automatically set to low and vice versa. Although the G13 does support a 10-pin connector for native 360 camera systems, it does lack the connection for third-party 360 cameras. So I'd love to see this in the next flagship model. So again, I want to bring more awareness to everyday drivers that there are better options for your car other than your factory unit that is more often unsatisfying. Especially in the Asian market where innovations such as the G13 are quite popular and well known. You don't need to stick to your car manufacturer or have technicians charge you an arm and a leg for a big brand unit with less features. As you can see, it was very easy for myself to install the G13. I feel in general car manufacturers do grossly overlook the needs of the average driver and should really pay attention to companies like DASAITA, who truly specialize in car entertainment and integration. Among all their products, DASAITA has really pushed their engineering with the G13. Just thinking about all the different sources of data streamed from the GPS, Wi-Fi, radio, LTE, the car CANBUS, and to all sync and work harmoniously together is truly a work of art. The G13 has got to be one of the top companions to my daily drive. So if you like this video, hit that like button, comment below, and if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing to this humble YouTube channel. Alright, cheers guys!